Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Honor the Feminine podcast. Today, we've got another bonus episode with Ava Aldinolfi. So Ava and I haven't done a bonus episode in a few weeks, and we are excited to drop in today into visioning and inspired action. And I also wanted to share that Ava and I are going to be with you monthly on the podcast in 2018. So we're excited to do an episode a month that'll be more regular and more scheduled. And it feels really exciting to share that because we've had such an amazing time doing this together. So, Ava, welcome.
Hi, this is so fun. And I'm excited that we're going to do this, once a month. Nice little structure there.
Structure right? We can flow into. Amazing.
Woo-hoo, yes.
Imagine that.
Right? Who uses those words together? Not us.
Well, and that's actually a beautiful way to start, because we have spent the past year really feeling into the sacred masculine and divine feminine and how it shows up for us and how it intertwines. And one of the ways that it really shows up is the sacred masculine container and structure that then the divine feminine can confidently flow into. And so this is one of the ways in which we actually do visioning, is to create the structure that then we can confidently flow into. So you want to speak to sort of when you started visioning and what it's brought to your year?
Yeah. I almost kind of, when I'm visioning, I almost like I'm playing Oracle a little bit to my own life, which is kind of fun.
I hadn't thought about it like that, but that feels true.
Yeah. I haven't put it in those terms before, but a lot of times I'd be like, I can only see this far. And I'll talk about what I can see and feel. And to me, that's that's the dreaming or the visioning. So just as you're sitting there, dreaming up your next vacation, let's say, right? And then you kind of have that to look forward to. And from whatever date to whatever date, you're planning out and getting really excited and ramped up about this vacation because it's going to give you a certain feeling. So for me, visioning is that times 10 or a million. I don't know. but it's so much cooler because it's not just this one drop in time. I'm doing it for the year, or actually normally it's a little more 9 months, I would say. Cause October, November, December always feels a little cloudy to me. Not always, but, just cause I'm in that space right now of the last year. And so this time of year normally feels a lot of, going inward and then starting to, celebrate what I've done the previous year and having a lot of gratitude for all the learnings and then starting to dream about what I want to move into. And so for me, it's also a great time to capture my growth in a way and sort of measure it a bit. And then being in that space of this just really deep gratitude for all of the lessons, whether they've been painful or useful, and all the other things that happened, right? So looking back on my previous year and saying, oh, wait, yeah, I did that, or I did that, or wait, maybe I didn't do that because this changed and now I'm doing this. So just kind of floating around and connecting the dots a bit and seeing what worked, what didn't work. It's almost kind of in corporate, they have their end of the year review and things like that, right? But this is a lot more magical and easeful, I would say, and more fun.
And often more colorful.
Yes, way more colorful. I definitely remember writing my corporate end of the year review. And it didn't so much feel like a celebration. It was more trying to prove that I did an awesome job or, whatever. So this has a very different feel. It's it's really about getting excited about where you've been and about how, like where you want to go, or at least for me. And I feel like there's so much more, but I feel like I might have answered at least your first question.
And for me, it has really set up that structure I can flow into. And having started to do visioning in the last few years, it has gone from me being in a space of really doing a lot of action for action's sake, like wanting to be busy and action oriented and check off the to-do list. But that action didn't have a container, really, right? It didn't have an intention behind it. So all of a sudden I'm feeling depleted and I've done all this action, and yet I haven't achieved, if you will, what I was truly desiring. And I almost never felt the way I desired to feel at the end of a depleted action for action's sake. And so what visioning has really created for me is that pause, that place to drop into my intentions. So not only the offerings, but how I want to feel in all of this, right? That I want to feel nourished and lit up, and that I want to be able to shift that structure if I don't feel nourished and lit up, you know? And so that in the intention, in the pause to really feel into the intention, that's where my action for action's sake becomes inspired action. And it feels really different. It may look the same. If you're standing as a fly in the wall or in my office, the action itself may actually look exactly the same as it did 4 years ago. But to me, it feels totally different. And it's tethered to something. It's tethered to an intention that's part of a bigger vision. And that matters.
Yeah, and as you're speaking about this, the other thing that I think is really cool too about moving in this like really intentional way, and the way that we do it especially, is that you really get to see like where things fit, right? Like, so if we're talking about us being cyclic beings and things like that, I feel like in the past, it's like, you know, like a huge like goal list or to-do list, and you're just like packing it all in, and then you get really burnt out. But it's like the way that we do it, what we pack in is space and integration and play and all of these other things around these action items or launches or projects or whatever it might be. We're really sort of strategic about where we place things. According to, you know, even sometimes astrology, right? And according to our own cycle. And then like, again, like sort of padding that with space and time to go inward, to integrate, to rest, to be with our families, to feel really nourished on all sides of maybe say something that might take a little bit more out of us. So like really like it's this, feels like this totally new way of feeling in to the way that the year will flow because it has that structure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like to know. I do. And I think you hit on something so beautifully too. Normally my first 6 months, like from say January to June, is like more filled in. And then from July to December, is less structured, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And some of what goes on right now is, you're right, going inward to drop into the year, and then doing some prep work for what we know is coming, you know? And so that's really beautiful. And it goes back to, then for me too, is that it helps me feel my rhythm, right? So the inspired action and the intention, what really comes out for me is my rhythm.
Yeah.
Like, where is my attention going in this month, in these weeks? What does that rhythm feel like? How does that feel different than the following month?
And with that, our nervous system can settle a bit, right? Because we're not like freaking out about what's happening. It's actually like really clear. It might not be clear exactly how everything's going to unfold, but we know like what the intention is and where our attention needs to be for that month. And even, the month ahead. So it's like everything is like building upon everything else. And yeah, so there's a lot of clarity there for the inspired action. And the more clarity we have, the more we can settle and ground so that we can fully show up to what we actually have set up in our vision.
Yeah. And I can give a couple of examples where things opened up and then how things shifted. So from last year, I had put on one of my sticky notes on my month-to-month visioning, right? Because we go macro to intentions and then we go micro into the month-to-month. I'd put program. I didn't know what that program was going to be. I didn't know how it was going to work. I had no idea. In fact, that came through the thought of writing that and actually putting it on the board scared the bejesus out of me. Like, it made me like, ugh.
And look at you now.
Yeah. And so what happened was then in January, Remembering Divine Union dropped in. And so this program Post-it note came to life, but it had a container. Like, it knew it was desired. And then the other side is I've had this really beautiful rhythm with the podcast where I do interview cycles. I do one in March. I do one during the summer. The past had been in August, and then I do one in November. Well, this year, because of what was going on, August turned into late June, early July, and I'm not doing November. And I'm not doing November because it's become clear to me that with all the expansion and growth that I've been through this year, the way in which I honor the feminine is different. And that's what I'd like to bring to the podcast in 2018. So there's going to be some shifting going on. And so instead of doing interviews in November, I'm going to take some time off, and I'm going to take some time off in the last couple of weeks of December and all of January to really birth this new vision for the podcast. So it's okay that I'm going to do an interview cycle in November because that's the way the rhythm has worked, and that rhythm has worked beautifully for me. But in the moment where that came around, I could feel that wasn't the right thing to do. And just because it's on a sticky note doesn't mean you have to do it.
Right. Yeah.
So those are two examples of how putting something on that comes through but feels scary can create space. And then how something that's worked so beautifully in the past is on there, but you have the space to be like, that's not going to work this time.
Yeah. That's our flow.
Yeah. Yeah. But if I don't have any of that for me, I feel like I'm putting out fires all the time and I'm chasing my tail.
Yeah.
And that's a big waste of energy for me.
I feel that. And actually, now that I'm reflecting back a bit, so I definitely did visioning last year, but I did it more for other people or with other people, like for clients. And I did it, a little less for myself, actually, now that I'm really feeling in. And this is making a lot of sense to how, there was some time and space where where I was a little unclear and felt a little unsettled, and it's making a lot of sense to me now. And I'm just actually putting it together. I did, what we did on the more macro level, like really feeling into the things that I want to create, and all that. And all that's really beautiful. But if we don't put it into the structure, like you're saying, where we're looking at it like more month by month, like where I'm going to put these different things so that I can give it some focused attention, then it doesn't get that same focused attention and it doesn't have that same inspired action. So yeah, I just want to like point that out, right? Like we all have our dips and our dives and, sometimes, and I guess I did this last year, I was really excited about helping bring forth other people's visions. And I definitely played into mine and I did the celebrating of the the year prior, but I did miss the ball a little bit on going in more micro into a lot of the structure. And then that created some wobble. So that part is really important, almost more important than the macro level, except for that we get the micro level from the macro level. So, and we're speaking micro, macro. What we mean by that is that, the way that we do things is we look at things like really big picture. So on a more macro level, really feeling into your desires and things that you want to create. And then, we get more micro with it and really like specific, as we like look at our calendar and create some structure. And obviously it's more detailed than that, but that's just kind of like an overview.
Yeah. God, that feels so true for you this year, having really walked this year together.
Right. Yeah.
And so I had done visioning for a number of years, but last year was so much more intentional and so much deeper for me. And this year I created so much more. Right. Yeah. So you and I last year together did that macro level, right? That big visioning. I went in and did the micro level for myself because it was really important to me because I really like structure.
I really like it too. Don't get me wrong. But yeah. And I had it by us doing our collaboration, right? But yeah, I missed the ball a little bit on doing it for myself, which is interesting to look back and see.
What a beautiful thing to recognize, right? Yeah. And to be like, oh, I need to make sure that happens this year. And then, so for me, what I did then was I shared that with my husband because I want, he's a big, he doesn't work in my business with me. We're very much in partnership in life. And so it was really important for him to know what my vision was. And then he and I did some visioning for our family.
Gorgeous. Yeah. Because when we do these vision stuff, it's not just for our business. Yeah. It's for all the parts of our lives.
Yeah. And it created a lot more harmony for us this year, it felt like. It's funny because I'm just putting this all together now too, but I can feel how much more harmony he and I had this year. And even as, during the summer, I had a couple of really big asks of him, some really big stuff that I wanted him to step into with me. And you know what? He was a yes to that, which I'm really grateful for. But I think part of that was brought about by the harmony that we created by really stepping into this year together by visioning at the end of last year. And I hadn't thought about the impact of that until we're talking tonight.
Yeah, because that's so beautiful. Because if we look at like our partnership, right? Like we're not like intimately in partnership, but like we are in deep partnership. I guess we are intimately in partnership, just not romantically.
Yeah, we're not romantically in partnership. Intimately in partnership, I believe that's a yes.
Okay, there we go. So we are intimately in partnership, but it's more of a business partnership and just the way our business works, that means that all of life is in that too. But so we know that things are more powerful in a collective. And so we share all these things together. So yeah, of course, I can totally see that. Like, when you have a collective vision, right? Like for your family, for your romantic partnership, for your marriage, like, yeah, like for you both to be really clear about where you're going, that makes it a lot easier to stay on the same road. Yeah. So that's gorgeous. And you get to go towards the same destination, right?
Yeah, totally.
I love that.
And for me, it makes me feel like he has a place to really, to like a seat in the car, if you will, like a seat on the train versus me dragging him along and him not really being
knowing what's happening.
Informed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, he doesn't really get the intricacies of what I'm doing day to day, but he doesn't have to. But that bigger vision where he knows what the train looks like and he knows his seat is there, that matters. And so this year, I know you and I have already done a good amount of visioning for you and I. I will drop in and that will inform a lot of the visioning that I continue to do for myself. And my husband and I will schedule a date night in December before we leave for the holidays to drop in.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's like I thought about that the other day, but in talking about the impact that it really did have.
It's huge.
Amazing. Yeah. I sort of had this inkling the other day of like, oh, we should do that again. That'd be good. And now I'm like, oh, that was great. And we should. Right? We need to do that again.
And the other beautiful thing, too, is that he gets to hold space for what you want to create. And then you get to hold space for what he wants to create, too, which is also what we do when we come in a collective and do visioning together, too, right? We're all holding space for each other's vision to flourish.
Yeah. And we're really clear about he's in a time right now where he's holding more space for my vision than I'm holding for his. Mm-hmm. But that it won't always be like that.
And that's a beautiful thing too, right? To have like communicate and understanding like within the container of your marriage.
Yeah. It's huge.
I love visioning so much. Like I just get really like giddy and excited and like colorful pens and all the things. Yeah.
So
well, you don't have to use colorful pens, but
you don't have to use colorful pens, but it does make it more fun.
Way more fun.
Actually, and Ava knows this about me, I buy this pack of pens at Target in the dollar section, right, for $3 that have a thick side and a thin side. And there's like 12 in a pack. And I use them all the time now. Like I use them for every day. And I love it.
It changes everything. Let's be honest. It changes
everything. So we wanted to thank you for joining us and really present an invitation and an offer. If you're listening to this in real time, we are doing on Sunday, December 3rd, 2017, a visioning session, an virtual interactive workshop called Ignite Your 2018 Vision. And we will walk through, it'll be a 3-hour interactive workshop starting at 4 p.m. Eastern time, where we will walk through the macro and then the micro. So you're going to leave with not a bunch of you should do this and a couple handouts. You are going to have filled out your beautiful handouts and you are going to be on track. If you don't do any more, you will have visioned for 2018. And if nothing else, you will have, if you wanted to refine a little bit going forward, you'd have such a beautiful jumping off point for that. And so, yeah, there's something beautiful about coming together to do it, because then the time would be carved out, because there were years in the past where I thought I wanted to do this and I didn't carve out time for myself. There's something beautiful about coming together to do it, because we'll be sharing some of our intentions and those get held in a container. Mm-hmm. Right? And they get spoken into the world. And that is cool.
It gives them so much more power and ability to actually manifest into reality.
And we're going to provide the structure for you to flow into. Right?
Yeah, so that when you leave, it'll feel really easeful to then actually take action, into that. So whatever you have on your calendar, it's going to be really easy to step into that action.
Yeah.
Inspired action.
So if you're ready really to ignite your 2018 and your vision for 2018, we invite you to join us. So again, that's Sunday, December 3rd, 2017, and you can go to rememberingdivineunion.com to sign up for that. Oh, and so if anyone's nervous system is wondering like, well, how much does it cost? Because sometimes I like, settle it all down. So it's $33 to join us for the 3-hour virtual interactive workshop. So yeah.
So excited.
Final thoughts.
Just visioning is really badass, and it, again, just like makes for a much more grounded, graceful, and easeful year. And it also adds this layer of excitement. Like, again, that excitement that you have when you're like planning a vacation, like it lasts the whole year. So like, let's do that.
Cause you and I've already done some visioning. So what's the one thing that you have written down that scares you the most? Scares you the most, but like causes you the most like fear and excitement simultaneously is really what the.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's so many things on here. I'm going to say, starting to feel into some, oh no, wait, I know what it is. Putting myself out there to be published, like writing more. I have a story that I'm not a writer. It's a lie. You yourself?
I have 2. Because I also put a book on the agenda for this.
I was talking about the articles, not the book yet. That's scary as fuck though. But yeah, keep going.
So I have put the book, and I have put, and this one actually I think scares me more, speaking engagements.
Mm-hmm.
Like really showing up as the speaker that I am. Yeah. So we look really forward to hearing about what's causing you that like super excitement and is like, oh, those sounds. So you can join us for that, for igniting your 2018 with vision, with structure and flow over at rememberingdivineunion.com. All right, everyone. Have a magical day.